Hey there, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with another episode of Random Encounters, show where I use random encounter tables like the kinds you find in uh, tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons. Hello, Ravenlore. Thanks for joining in. Like the kinds you find in games like Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them to create random drawing prompts. Get a who and a what off the different tables. I don't know what they're going to be, and I roll them up using online dice or a die rolling app, and then I draw the cartoon. And that's what it's all about. It's a fun game. It's a fun game for me, and hopefully, it's a fun game for you all out there to watch. But I also certainly invite you to draw along with me, whether you're drawing the same things that I do or it's just something of your own. Drawing is fun. I'll stand by that one. Drawing is fun, and I want to encourage more people to do it. And that really is the heart of Random Encounters. So, having said that, I'm going to come over here to my iPad. I do all of this on an iPad Pro using the app Procreate and an Apple Pencil. None of this is sponsored, but as I say every week, I'm totally open to the idea if Apple or Procreate want to talk to me about it. Where are we at? Where are we at? I'm going to not do that. I'm going to hit the button, Frank. I'm going to hit the button and I'm going to pull up this. This is the random encounter that we're using tonight. The random encounter tables we're using tonight. Our who's and our what's. And of course, as always happens, got Ravenlore is the only person in the chat right now. But there more people will come in and out during the course of the show. And if I roll the same number twice, because we're going to do 3 different drawings tonight. If I roll the same number twice, then I'm definitely going to turn to the chat audience to figure out, pick something new. Also, even when we get the numbers, I'll turn to the chat audience to participate and help refine the idea. So everyone gets to play along, even at home. All right, so having said all that, time to get rolling. So we'll go over here to our die rolling app. And we're going to roll once, twice, third time, and 1. 1 is our first who. And once, twice, third time, 5. 5 is our first what. So we'll come back and see what that actually means over on the table. Our first who is a mimic. And our first 5 is wet cement. First what is wet cement. Mimic and wet cement. All right. I can live with that. I guess, I was looking at these as I was getting ready to start the show, and it struck me. I looked at those pairs and said, wow, a lot of the wet cement, I think, has a lot of opportunity. Mimic's a weird one to go with wet cement, but not at all undoable. So for those of you who don't know, Mimic is a creature that imitates other things. The classic mimic is shaped like a treasure chest, and when an adventurer would go to open it, it would open up with a huge mouth and try to kill them. Sometimes they're doors, sometimes they're chairs or tables. Mimics can be just about anything. So here, somehow, we got to mix a mimic and wet cement. Now, I'm going to zoom in here for a second. I do all my sketching in blue. So, in theory, we could have a worker with a trowel and wet cement. And the wet cement could be reaching up to get him. And he could be surprised. That's one possibility. We could also have And it could be troweling over here, and it could be the trowel itself that is the mimic. That's possible. So far, of the two, I'm liking the first a little more. What do you think? What do you think out there, Ravenslaw, or anyone else who's joined? Got a mimic and wet cement as our. And having the mimic rise out of the wet cement, it seems like he might be lurking in there, not that he actually is. And if we were going to play this a little fast and loose with it, we could have a wet cement signs over here with some wet cement, and one of the signs could be a mimic. Musing and musing. I don't want to muse for too long. And in theory, we could also maybe have a. I don't know. This is making less sense. So I was thinking that we could have the cement being poured onto the mimic that's trying to get away. Nah, it just doesn't make any sense. All right. I think we're going to go with the wet cement is the mimic. I mean, logically, that still creates some problems, but this is really making any sense anyway. It's it's just a fantasy, as Billy Joel said. So we'll clear that layer off now and come back and realize that we're going to do that. We're going to have a square. We're going to have a workman. And the mimic coming up out of the wet cement. Like so. I'm still trying to. There's a short smell funny, and a terrible burden to their mother. Yeah. Gotta put the kids down. You're short, you smell funny, and you're a terrible burden to your poor mother. Tell you, Ghostbusters 2 gets a lot of grief, but I think it's a much better movie than people often credit it as being. I mean, it's not as good as Ghostbusters, the original, clearly, but I think too many times decent sequels are damned for not being as good as the original. When that's a really high bar. All right, so do that. Guess it must be that the mimic just likes trowels. He's laying there in wait, waiting for this guy to come along so he can eat the trowel. I just wonder how the mimic got in there, since in theory the guy would have just poured the wet cement, right? He and his crew would have poured it in there. So the mimic has been lurking in the wet cement or under the wet cement. Oh, maybe. Maybe. I'm gonna wipe that off. Rather than it being a guy uh, who's smoothing the cement, let's have it be some kids who are terrible burden on their poor mother. Um, some kids who are writing in the wet cement, and the mimic is there to scare them off. And then we can have a sign here that says wet cement. There we go. That's a better idea, don't you think? Like I've said on more than one occasion, this is a really good. This show is an example of how the where do your ideas come from answer the question is answered. Right? You come up. You start with a basic. You're trying to come up with an idea. Trying to come up with an idea for something, for a cartoon, for a story, whatever. And you start with a premise, and you start mucking around with it, and as you do that, you realize, oh no, this might be better. All right, that's a good rough sketch on that. Let's zoom it up a bit. Maybe we'll make the second kid a little taller. All right, we're going to want to bring that up a little bit bigger. So this must be like the anti-vandalism mimic. See, strange ideas. You never know. You never know what you're going to get. All right, so that's good enough. We'll come here. We'll go to our lines layer and start drawing for reals. And I always say you should start with lines that you are confident in, because you want to have something that you know is going to stick around. case you make a mistake. You get to the lines you're not confident in, you never know if you're going to want to redraw something. It's easiest to have parts of the drawing that are for sure going to work out, and those are the ones you're confident in. It's got a little stick that he's using to write in the wet cement with. And it's going to say Spike was here, and he's going to be in the middle of writing that. We'll have the. I like how this elf kid came out just in the sketch phase. So the other thing I like to do here is just kind of try out some new things. Try out a new. I've said before that it's good to have things that you can rely on. I know that it's going to be like this, or I know that it's going to be like that. And that, on the one hand, one of the reasons that's good is it allows you to play with some other things that try new stuff. And just that kind of the way I drew that head is different than I normally would. I don't know if that shows to anyone but me, but all right. I thought for a second, once I had the idea of making this other guy an elf, that I'd make the first one a dwarf. But my immediate thought is, how am I going to show that it's a dwarf kid? I don't know. Let's just not worry about it. All right, so we'll come along here. I want to put the sign in. I was talking last week about that, and I guess I just was a little earlier here. You find these shortcuts. The important thing in doing any drawing, but in particular cartoons, is finding a shortcut that your audience, that your readers will understand, because you don't have um, you don't have as much space or time or detail as you do in a painting. And the point in a cartoon always is to have the drawing get out of the way of the joke. And you want people to see it and understand it. If they have to stop and think about what they're looking at, then your joke's never going to fly. So you got to find a way to get the idea across super quick. And as I was saying, the idea of how to draw a kid and have it be clear that it's a dwarf was eluding me. So I decided not to do it. There we go. And we're going to get in some glops of wet cement coming off it. Some motion lines to show that it's rearing up out of the wet cement. And if I turn off my sketch layer, I can see that we've pretty much got it. Let's see, I need to finish the back part of the cement block. You know that wet cement will have a wooden frame around it to hold it in, so I've got to put that in there. All right. And we want to put some more gloppiness on there so it's clear that the mimic is coming out of the wet cement. I amuse myself. I'd better. If I don't amuse me, then I got nothing. I very much want to amuse you. But if I don't amuse me, I got nothing. I tell you, I can tell you for sure that although I want to amuse everyone every time, there will be times when I fail. Alas and alack, there will be times when I fail. So I'd better amuse me, because that's the only guarantee I got. And there we go. We've got our wet cement mimic. All right, quick. Let's come over to the colors layer, switch to the gloaming brush. I'll take a little sip of my drink right here. For some reason, I'm more parched than usual. And let's do a quick coloring here. Gloaming brush, of course, is that kind of half crayon-y, markery feeling. So I can do these fast and loose coloring, and it feels like a style, like a stylistic choice rather than a mistake. Let's give our elf purple hair. I don't know why. I just want it. Why not? Why not? Again, you see the loose coloring style lets me do that, not filling everything in completely, and yet it feels like a choice. You always want, whatever you're doing, you want it to feel to the viewer like you did it on purpose, like you didn't just run out of time and go whatever. So I remember having that taught to me by a cartoonist whose work I liked very much, who was doing portfolio reviews. I don't know, I think I was in college or just out of college, and I was trying to begin to make uh, a career out of doing cartoons, and I'd done some illustration, but I any hadn't done any comic books, and I really wanted to. And so I'd done some pages on my own, and I brought them to them to I was doing a story. I wrote a story, and I was illustrating it for the purposes of having something in my portfolio. And there's a cityscape scene that I did, and it didn't really matter, right? It was not the point. There was one building that mattered, and the rest of it was just kind of the cityscape. And I didn't. I wasn't going to color it, so I wanted to use some shadows and blacks on it, and I just wasn't into that. Wasn't into drawing it. I just needed to get through it. It was one shot to lead on to to the rest of the story, and so I just kind of I half-assed the blacks are kind of weird shapes or cross hatching, whatever. No real purpose, no clear purpose. And when I showed it to this person who was looking at my portfolio, they asked me, "Well, what happened? What's going on here?" And I told them, I said exactly that. And they said, "Well, you can't do that because you look at this. It may not mean anything to you, but the person who's looking at this cartoon, at this page of comics, doesn't know what's important and what's not until you tell them visually. And if you've got this big mess, the thing is that you say it's not important, but because it's a big mess and everything else is organized, it draws attention to itself. So you need to make sure that everything on the page looks like it's there on purpose. And if it's not important, it has to look specifically. You can't just treat it like it's not important. You need to make it look not important, which was a weird concept to me. But, in the end, I understood what he was saying. And he was definitely right. And so I bring that here to you today. Make of it what you will. It's an important lesson for me about making sure that when you put something down, anything you put down, I think that the biggest part of that lesson was the first part. The reader doesn't know what's important and what's not. Everything could be important. So you got to make sure that when they look at it, you aren't drawing attention to something for the wrong reason. Particularly if it's confusing, they'll look at it more. So if you put something on there that's just this weird glop, right? This weird unknown shape, and they can't look at it and figure out what it is. They're going to look at it more to try to figure out what it is. There we go. So if it's really not important, don't put it on the page. If you put it on the page, make sure you spend enough time on it that the person looking at it knows what it is and what it's supposed to be. You could want to just put a little off-white on the teeth so they don't look so sparkly and new. I think you can look at a bunch of the things I do here and say, well, it's not like you're spending a lot of time on that, but the style of this loose coloring allows you to more easily get away with loose shapes. All right, I think let's put a little bit of shading on our characters. I was going to say none, but I started looking at it and realizing that because the cement had it, it was looking a little weird. Again, I think it was drawing attention to the fact its absence was conspicuous, shall we say. It's drawing attention to the fact that it wasn't there. There we go. Ooh. And we have ourselves a mimic in wet cement. Kind of looks like it could be a cement elemental. I mean, there's a lot of things this could be. But if I tell you mimic in wet cement, it sells that too. So that's a interesting thing about this. One of the reasons why it's challenging, the idea why would the mimic be in the wet cement? Yeah, I mean, to me, if you just showed this to me and didn't tell me what it was, I would say that it was a cement elemental. But there we go. We're going to come back to the lines layer. Switch back to the inking brush. And oh, I see what I didn't do. I'm going to sign it anyway, but I'm not done. Got to come back to the drawing. And I put that, come back, wrong layer. Again, you want to not put anything on that doesn't matter. Because I put that frame on, it's important that I make it work. Not only that, it's important that I give this other cement block, I drew it there. So it's got to be something. There we go. I think that helps, weirdly. I could be wrong, but it's my show. All right, there we go. We have a mimic in wet cement. So I will now come over here and close that up. Turn on round 2. Turn back on our random tables, random encounter tables. Have myself a little sip of the drink. Crack my knuckles, jump for joy. I got a clean bill of health from Dr. McCoy. And all right, there we go. We've got one drawing down. Time to go on to drawing number 2. So we'll come back to the die roller, and we'll get us a second pairing. Once, twice, and third time, 6. We know that's going to be adventurers. 6 is adventurers. All right, and for a what? Once, twice, third time, 1. All right, it's rolled a lot of 1s the last few weeks. So it's an adventurer sushi chef. What am I sipping on? Asked Ravenlore. I'm having myself some delicious Coke Zero. It goes down so smoothly. I know I've got it in a pint glass. It looks like it could be a dark ale. So I guess I've just made myself less mysterious, less cool. No, it's not a dark ale. No, it's not a Guinness. It's Diet Coke. It's Coke Zero. All right, we're gonna do Adventurer Sushi Chef. Adventurer Sushi Chef. I meant to look up before I came on just this the sushi chef outfit. Oh well. All right, here we go. We're gonna come in here. We're gonna turn uh, off the tables. Turn back to our sketch layer, and we gotta get out of my sushi bar. um. All right, what do we got here? I think we're gonna have to. It's deciding that it doesn't want to write. It's deciding that I'm using the wrong brush, is what it's deciding. All right, so we're going to have a sushi bar here, stools. We'll probably zoom in on that a little more. And uh, you know what? I'm going to do what I don't normally do, and I'm just going to let myself go online very quickly to get that sushi chef look. So I know what it is I'm trying to do. Again, let's say it's important to. Okay, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay. It's important to be able to do something that is recognizable. All right, so what I want is that headband. All right, good. And I think we're going to have a big sea creature back here behind the thing. Move this down more like that. Now the question is, how do I combine? I now have a good idea how I'm going to make this guy look like a sushi chef, but how am I going to make it clear that he's an adventurer? Um, I mean, I usually draw the same adventurers when I draw them. So I suppose I could change the sushi chef to be my typical fighter guy. Let's see if I move this around. Come on, here we go. And that maybe is the answer, right? Otherwise, sushi chef is sushi chef. And I'm going to put my fighter in the sushi chef outfit. Now I'm thinking about the what I want to say. It's gonna make a wasabi joke. Was what I was thinking, and I may yet do that. But all right, let's put some lines in here. I'm beginning to get an idea for what this is. We'll start with him since I've spent so much time figuring him out. And we're going to give him a headband with a rising sun on it. Well, that was strange. I'm back. I don't know if anyone will come back to join me. Had a very weird little computer glitch. Happens sometimes. Um, and I had to reboot. I don't know how or why. I don't know when. I don't know how much got out into the stream that was going out live. Um, I guess I'll know when I finish up and I go and look at the uh, at the file. I'll see what was going on. I know that what was happening on my screen, I just couldn't. I couldn't follow. It just stopped responding, and I stopped being able to see what was going on. And suddenly, it was showing me that I'd been missing things. I don't know. I don't know. It seemed to still be counting out a stream. but not in regular 1 second increments. Oh well. I'll finish the drawing anyway, and then I'll create a file for people that might want to watch it on replay. So we're doing an adventurous sushi chef. And I was just realizing uh, that if I was going to do this as a comic, um, for possible sale, um, I would add another customer in there, and I would actually make what right now is the big part of the drawing, the small part of the drawing. And I would put the customers there, and one would be saying to the other, "They've got the freshest octopus in town." That would be the joke. But it's not, and I'm gonna finish this up the way it is, and we'll move along and see if anyone returns, finds the show, the secret part 2. We'll see. It may just be me. And that's all right too, because I'll still keep talking to myself, and most of the people who will watch this will be watching it on replay anyway, so none of the live streaming stuff matters in the long run, though tonight it's a pretty big deal. I know that I know that Ravenslore was in, and I saw just before it all locked up that other people were in there. I saw that Dave Lemon, his name came up, but never got to talk to him, which, I presume means that Linnea was there also, or maybe Dale and Cindy came in. Unclear. I'll never know. Or I suppose I may know when I look at the uh, at whatever the file reveals to me when I get back to look at it. Ah well, such is the life of an online entertainer. Sometimes things just go wrong. And who you gonna call? I guess maybe to go back to this with what we've got here. I think some kind of octopus joke is definitely some octopus special. Um, maybe he said. Now the question to me is whether I want to make it to use the word taco. One taco special, one taco roll. One taco roll coming up. That's what it's going to say. And that's what it now says. So. Okay. Let's turn off the sketch layer. Come back and see what I need to add in here. Again, I suppose sometimes it feels weird. I'm just going to talk about me now. Sometimes it just feels weird to, at this point, for me, because I'm going to continue talking like there's a show. Um, but for me, it's just a weird night. I don't know why. Why am I even continuing? And like I say, the reason is that I know that more people will watch this on replay than were watching it when all the craziness happened. So, and if you're watching this on replay now, you don't care. You just want to see me finish the drawing I started. So I will, and and then do a third drawing. Though it kind of, for me, it's a shame. It kind of sucks because I had people here and I was having conversations, and now it's just going to be me. But I entertain myself pretty well. All right, let's see what happens here. Come in and do some coloring. Maybe someone will show up. I'm guessing probably not, but maybe. This is kind of a test of what would happen if I just started streaming and no one was around. No one knew I was going. Just show up and start doing it. And the answer is, well, it's just me and whatever I want to do. So I'm doing this second stream just to this is not going to matter to anyone, but I guess for my own edification, or I guess in case you care. Uh, um, when I was doing the original stream, it was live streaming out to uh, 4 different places at once. And with the restream, the second thing that I've started here, this is now just going to YouTube. It's a YouTube only second half. I think that if I'd gone Facebook only, when I do things on Facebook unannounced, occasionally people will see it and join in. So what I'm learning here is if I do something on YouTube unannounced, not so much. I'm going to do this thing again where I what highlight color I use on the white changes your perception of what color the white is. Again, if I got the jacket has that darker blue, it looks like a different color than the inner shirt. But we've seen this; it's the same thing. The only difference are those little lines. But the white itself seems to change color. It's just so amazing. It amazes me every time I see it, and I do this all the time. It's it's my it's my thing. I do this, and it's still just, I don't know. Freaks me out is the wrong word, but it amazes me every time. Here again, I'm going to use a different highlight color, and that seems like a different white. Oh well, okay. So we've got our tonight the elves are all having interesting hair colors. No, that's not the color I want, and I'll tell you why. Because I want to make the octopus purple. So I don't want to have the elf. I don't want the elf's clothes to be purple. There we go. There we go. Now we decide it's going to be some kind of red. Why? I don't know. Just seems like a good idea. Seemed like a good idea at the time. And we're going to want to have the countertop. And now, what do I want to do here? I want to come back again with a blue. But I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm going to switch pens even. I don't want... I want to put those blue streaks, but I want them to be thinner lines, straight lines, so. To get the idea that we have glass that you can see through. But it's distorting the color and shape a little. Alright, so there we go. One taco roll coming up. And we will call that interrupted but done. We have an adventurer sushi chef. Ba-da-bop, ba-da-bop, whoop. Adventurer sushi chef right there. All right, so I'm going to once again take a little break and have a little sip of my, as we have discovered, Coke Zero. And now we're going to recover this, close that up, turn it off, turn on the encounter tables, and all right, well, we had a little problem in the middle of that drawing. Got it done, but now we're going to do one more, and that'll wrap it up for the evening. So we're going to go back to our encounter tables. We're going to go back to our die rolling app, and we're going to see what we get. We're going to go once, twice, and third time. 4 is our who. 4 for who, and once, twice, and third time. 5? Did we have 5 already? 5 was wet cement. So 4 is a flump. Oh, God. All right. We're not gonna do wet cement again. and I kind of want to save a flump for when people are around to interact with me. I don't know. Maybe this is the one week I just do 3 drawings. I mean, I don't want to feel like I gave up, right? I don't want to. I don't do this just for the audience. I do it because it's fun for me. Um, that computer thing actually though stressed me out, and since no one has come back to watch, I don't know. I feel bad about that. I don't like. No, I'm gonna do something. We're not gonna do a flump though. Let's just pick another thing. Um, I had the bonus board down here for a while. I haven't done anything. Let's pick Batman off the bonus board, and we'll do Batman. Uh, um, I don't know. I say Batman, and then I don't have any ideas, so that's not a good. Uh, it's not a good choice. It's not a good look, is it? Uh, yeah, I think I'm just gonna cut all this out. I'm gonna cut all this out, and I'm gonna just wrap it up. All right. Never mind. We'll we'll do better next week. Next week is it's a 1 year anniversary too. I'm glad this happened now instead of then. But all right, 2 things and that'll be it. All right. Well, we had a bit of technical trouble, and it really kind of threw me for a loop. So I have finished up the drawing now. Although I look at it, and it doesn't feel 100% finished. I've finished up the drawing now, and I'm just gonna call this. Oh no, got someone coming in. Someone coming in. A viewer's back. If I have a viewer, I'm not stopping. This is gonna make for a really weird replay. Uh, tell you what, if the viewer says hi in the next minute or two, I'll keep going. And otherwise, I'm gonna wrap it up a little early and just take it in now that I've overcome all my problems. Overcome my problems and then just give it up. What a schmuck. Barry, Sumo Stan, the delivery man. Did I go to the Sumo channel? That might be why no one's showing up. Hi, Barry. Thanks for stopping by, but I think I'm going to wrap it up here. So I'm going to, one more time. All right, well, we had a bunch of trouble with the broadcast tonight, with the streaming. Everything cut out, and I had to reboot in the middle, and it stressed me out a little, so I'm going to stop with just 2 drawings tonight. We did an adventurer sushi chef, and we did a wet cement mimic. And I think they both came out pretty good. And there's that, right? I feel like what I did do, the drawings came out good. It's the streaming that didn't go so good. So I'm going to wrap it up here and then go and see what happened on the what I have on the video files, and how I can save this and turn it into a how I can edit it and make it something worth someone tuning in for later on. So thank you for tuning in. Barry, thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it. Sorry I don't have a lot to show you. Hopefully you can come back another time and you can see some improv cartooning, which is what I do every Thursday evening here at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hope you can come back and join us. Until then, oh boy, I'm out of here.